Hello, welcome back to FromSoftServe. This is DS3 Lighting Engine mod, and this is my work built on top of that, using the Editor tab to set up the area, set up basically where the shadows are, disabling the baked lighting. We can do in here by hitting the checkbox to disable light map shadows per area. And then, of course, the illumination and all kinds of things. But here I can actually change the direction of the dynamic shadows because, of course, yes, everything is dynamic now. Similar to Sekiro, Elden Ring, Armored Core 6. If you'd like to support this mod work that I'm doing on Dark Souls 1 as well, for my remastered mod, and for this currently untitled DS3 mod, there's Patreon links in the description and a Ko-Fi link where you can do PayPal donations. And I do this work full time, and those are the only reason why. So your help would be greatly appreciated. But let's walk through here a little bit more. We have our light shafts, which are a little too strong at the moment, but I can fix those. But yeah, it was really all about getting the illumination correct, doing the texture upscaling as I go through, modifying the reflectance maps for each surface if need be, and then you level adjust the albedo texture a little bit. I currently cannot do my standard like work on height maps and parallax occlusion mapping, as adding that isn't really. I'm gonna wait till it's like officially just in Lighting Engine that I can enable that easily. That'll just make it a whole lot better than me editing a bunch of models, because I can goof it into working, but it's not the ideal way. And so like I'd have parallax on these surfaces. By default, Dark Souls 3 barely used parallax occlusion mapping. It was on like one or two surfaces, and that's it. You actually had more of it used in DS2 than you did in DS3. And now they just completely don't use it. In like Elden Ring or Sekiro, I have not found an instance of it being used anymore. So here you have a mixture of planar reflections and screen space reflections blended in, which would catch a lot of the things that the planar reflections would not catch. Also, not necessarily, because of course you could put everything you want into the screen or planar reflections through the like map editor. You could, but it's obviously way more expensive to do planar reflections for everything. So I haven't gone to that route, and the screen space honestly works really fantastically, like well. So I don't have much of an issue with it. But the other thing is making a lot of the point lights shadow casting, and yeah. So I mean, let me know how this looks. Do you like how this looks? That's such a dude. This dog gets me every time, Brody. It's insane. The other thing I've done is a tweak that I've done for all of my DS3 mods at this point, which are only like two of them. But basically, I went through and I fixed the LOD system for Dark Souls 3. I basically just turned it off and said, hey, stop doing LOD, level of detail stuff, or loading level of detail models for things. So now it loads the high detail model because graphics cards are fast enough at this point that that geo count is going to destroy the game. So, and now you don't get, because in DS3, if you ever want to know how much that it actually does this sort of pop in, oh my gosh, just look in the distance as you walk in DS3 and everything is popping. It's insane. You know, Undead Settlement, Road of Sacrifices are terrible, terrible. But let's walk inside Firelink Shrine. You can see I have two shadow casting point lights here, one here and one here now. And you can see it actually, it's both shadows. Very cool. Cool stuff. I still have the blue point light that is placed here that I have not gotten rid of yet. There's a ton of blue point lights that FromSoft loves to just put places that doesn't actually, it's not based on any actual illumination. They're just doing it for like pathfinding and like, hey, here's this switch, blue point light, you know. They used it a ton in Bloodborne and DS3. It's insane. So I tend to turn those off just because I am partial to the more natural look of the lighting. The player lantern currently does not work, but it will. So that's why you can see me in total darkness. Normally there would be a player lantern, but currently that's not working in this DS3 lighting engine build. But it will. Also, it's a little noisy around some of the shadows here. They're very small shadows, so I wonder if that's the screen space. I mean, it's just hard to... These are just very fine shadows that understandably you're just gonna have trouble with the precision. So I've edited a lot of the point lights in here, although I made the one in front of Andre maybe a little too strong. I wanted the shadows to cast off of it, but now it looks like obviously the light is coming from nowhere, but that's pretty usual. I'll tweak that. Shout out to DS3 Lighting Engine for its water shader, obviously cloth shader and metal shader and all that stuff, skin shading. It's fantastic. Let's go to Undead Settlement. That's the other one. That's what I spent hours working on yesterday, and I feel pretty good about it. I think it looks pretty good. Of course, you guys will be the ultimate judge, jury, and executioner of whether it looks good or not. But, well, not really. If I think it looks good, I think it looks good. But very nice when other people say it also looks good. Yeah, DLSS helps clean up the aliasing problem completely. That's probably the biggest visual problem that DS3 had, is that the aliasing and the shimmering off in the distance was insanity. So that's been fixed through DLSS. And there's DLAA as well. I tend to run it on DLSS quality. Oh, actually, yeah. Okay, good. No one's moving. Yeah, this isn't set up the way that I had it set up. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know if it changed my volumetric light shafts a little bit, but I do think I was editing the area more. Just look at the rendering quality. Ugh. The AO, the shadowing. Oh, good. Love it. The surface quality. I actually really enjoy Undead Settlement. I think Undead Settlement is honestly one of my more favorite areas from DS3. Honestly, it does feel like a little Bloodborne-ish in feel and vibe. But I also get some Dark Souls 1 vibe. I like it more than a lot of the other areas that surround it, but... Oh yeah, let's go up here. I may have missed some shadow casting that I need to add, but look at this indirect illumination. It's so good. I still need to do work on making the distant stuff look better, because, to be honest, that stuff actually just looks really bad in the unmodded game. So I'm gonna die. Was that a dead one? Fantastic. Okay, they're attacking me. I'm getting a titty shard. Okay. I die? It was a scripted death. Also, look at the volumetric light shafts. They're gorgeous. Stunning. Stunning, in fact. Oh yeah, I don't go up here very often. That's true. Oh yeah, so let's kill these guys. Assuming that happened. Okay, well he fell down. I mean, you get what you deserve right there. Okay, well, so you're still gonna shoot me from over there. That's kind of rude, to be honest with you. Yeah, let's go up here and let's kill this guy. I don't use this weapon very often, and it shows. Oh, I found the edge of the world. Uh-oh. Huh. What if they just had a bunch of fog covering that? Interesting. There have been instances in DS3 where it does have a lot of detail just showing like this will not detail the absence of detail. And it looks really bad. There are instances in DS3 that you will find that. That I have to double check. I got to discount double check that one because I'm like, is that me? I haven't done a ton of map edits like at all. I haven't messed with geometry loading in or not. I don't generally mess with that. DS3 at least. I don't have to. I don't. The geometric density of DS3 is already high enough that like I really don't have to fix as much of that. But so here you can see a blue point light, right? It's not based on any light source. It is basically just, hey, we wanted to make this more obvious, which makes perfect sense. You know, the yellow paint debacle in Resident Evil games. This is FromSoft's equivalent. I personally like the look of it without the blue point light so much that I do remove them. I understand that some people may not like that, and they'll go, doesn't that make the game more difficult? Yeah, I guess so. I guess a little bit. I think that's okay. I think you'll find it. Like, it's here. And I don't think anyone... I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to miss the blue point lights. I actually don't think... I think they work well in that if you took them away, no one would, like... I don't think anyone would notice, right? I don't think anyone would, like, get the pitchforks out. How dare you remove my blue point lights? I don't think anyone was really doing that, but they usually had them for most, like... Okay, hey, let me pull out my torch. I don't have a player intern right now. I always love the look of this room. They faked the light shafts, and I can show you the proof of that. I think by going out here... Yeah, you can see they faked the light shafts. They are just a stationary thing that they placed there, and weirdly they made it to where when you're over here you can just see them. It's odd. Of course, using volumetric light shafts, I don't need to do that, so... But I kept them because I think they look nice still. Just don't look at the back of them. Don't look at their ass. Oh my god, this is just murder central. You know, when they complain about Dark Souls 2 having too many enemies, I'm like, there's some good spots in DS3 that got a shitload of enemies. So I am running fast, so that's partially my fault, but I don't mind it, personally. Oh yeah, this room looks sick. Volumetric light shafts. That is the technical term. Sick, by the way. Just in case everyone was curious. These videos are kind of nice because all I have to do is go, hey, look at all these shadows. Doesn't this look cool? I don't have as much like technical things that I have to talk about or weird duct tape solutions. Like here I can just go, oh yeah, I just did it. And it looks fucking awesome. So modding Dark Souls 3 is easier and also less interesting, I think, in some ways. It's kind of nice for that reason. It's a quicker workflow. Also, the guy is my friend. God, I keep trying to heal. I made this shadow casting. Check that out. Here you go. Whoop, gone. Yeah, I don't have a player lantern yet. I did knock a giant hole in this place. Oops. My bad. I just think this is really good rendering quality right here. Like, this just looks awesome. A little bit of flicker there, but don't worry about it. Let's head this way. Do I need an ember? And if I turn the HUD on, it goof up a little bit. I don't have time. I ain't got time for that. Okay, big dog. You can see how high quality the shadows are, even from like a huge distance. So it's shout out to DS3 LightingEngine for handling shadowing vastly better than by default. Okay. All right. Well, it's a bad time. We're having a bad time. Yeah, default shadow casting, you can get it to work, but it's not until Sekiro that they really went full on. Like big world, you know, shadow casting for everything. And so the stability of the shadow casting was a big problem. Well, didn't mean to go up, big dog, but actually, that's a good opportunity to fix some of this up here, because we can free cam through, and you'll notice a lot of this is not casting shadows. So this is the process of adding shadow casting, is we basically pick every single little mesh ID here, essentially. Just click on things until we find stuff that is, or I guess once we don't find anything that's not shadow casting yet, we just kind of keep setting stuff to shadow cast. Because by default, DS3 LightingEngine does have screen space shadowing for small things, and it covers a lot of stuff, actually. Screen space is really quite good. It looks good, too. But I, of course, prefer the much more direct cascade shadow maps. And so that way I'm not relying on the screen space completely. I am using them together. And that's honestly the best case scenario. Okay, so we're going to hit all of these. Okay. I had someone leave a comment on Twitter, or a reply, I don't know why I said comment, saying like, oh, because I shared some footage of this, and they're like, wow, it looks like Demon Souls Remake. And that's high praise, you know, from a rendering standpoint. Demon Souls Remake is insanely good looking. And DS3 LightingEngine actually does take, of course, I'm not an expert, so the creator of DS3 LightingEngine would be better to talk about it, but I think one technique that they did borrow or inspired from is the shadowing from like light sources when they hit like a wall or an edge. It will basically do what they call bent cone shadows around objects to make it basically look like it is casting shadows when you're actually not, but it looks like you are. So it's just a nice visual trick that Demon Souls Remake would use to make the little crystal that you have on your belt and the shadows that are cast from that look really good in Demon Souls Remake. So that was a specific technique. All right, we're making our way through. Shadow casting is not something that's new for DS3 modding, of course. I have enabled shadows using the built-in, DS3 graphics engine. And you just have to do a lot more tweaking to get them to look right. And even then, some voice work. So this is much easier. And obviously, it's all being run through DS3 LightingEngine. So it's much easier. But yeah, like, look at this high quality shadow. And we do have some screen space global illumination as well. It's SGI. And you can kind of tweak how strong that is. And of course, the stronger you make it, it gets a little bit noisier. So I tend to set it around like 1 or 2. But, I'll set that like per area. Here's another instance where they did a blue point light, which now that I've mentioned it, I'm sure you're not going to be able to unsee them as they're everywhere in From Software, specifically Bloodborne and DS3. But Sekiro does it as well. They love it, and so I tend to disable. Realistically, could I make them a little bit less like this? Yeah, probably do that. That's fair. I'll leave it on a little bit, so you get a little bit, so it'll look like ambient light a little bit, less so incredibly like in your face. So here's the other thing. We are picking out point lights like this, and we are converting them to be a shadow casting point light. Let's see if the player gets... Yeah, you can see there's a shadow cast by the player now. The environment did not react because we had not set the environment to be shadow casting yet. And you actually have to tell it to specifically cast local shadows. So you can see that just started shadow casting. And now the stairs will also cast local shadows. And we also have the foliage casting shadows. Let's make sure we have the wall. This as well. We go hang out with our little friend. And now we have a shadow being cast. And that is sick nasty. Oh, the small improvements. I don't think I've upscaled the textures up here quite yet. But I try to look. Do we have any blue point lights? I believe we do. Although this point light is actually pretty good if this is a point light that they're doing. There's actually, yeah, this is like blue-ish. So we'll turn that off. Well, actually, let's replace with an LED light. It'll pop that in that space. Then we can make our own light from it. And I was harped on a little bit about my usage of the lighting or light override thing. I was moving them using the transform sliders over here, where I should have been using a T for transforming this way. You can actually just move it in 3D space, which is obviously way better. But I just forgot that that existed for like 6 months. Don't worry about it. Okay, so usually here I'll do bounce lighting. My general strategy is to put it in the center-ish of where the light is entering the scene, which of course is dynamic, but there is no like dynamic time of day system, so like the light does stay here until you get to the dark sign version of the areas. But anyway, I generally try to put it where the light source is, but also not too low to where it'd be too bright on it. And then I like to mess with the actual range. I like to make them white to start with. That matches up with most lighting setups, at least I've found. Once again, I would say anything that I do is not necessarily the correct method at all. I don't know. I'm just doing stuff. So this is a good way of like what the SSGI doesn't pick up on, understandably, like beyond without ray tracing or you know. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of screen space ray traced GI things out there, but with the SSGI, that is quite good built in. But always good to have some backup like bounce lighting that GI is not going to catch in all instances. You know, that's a tough ask, and that's pretty understandable. And it allows you to like dial in the amount of how dark the shadows are here on an individual basis, where of course I could just say all shadows are less dark. I can do that on a map-wide basis, but that's much better to dial them in for each spot. So then you get an area that looks like this, which I think looks fucking awesome. I can now curse because I'm like 22 minutes in. What's up, big dog? How's it going? He's just standing here.
I help.
You help anytime. I got it. DS3 is weird where they would use, like, look at this asset. That is a low enough resolution texture that you just can't upscale that. So I actually remembered what I did for trivia a long time ago. She asked me to go look at Goth in DS1, and he apparently had like the same object and texture up here. Also, you could just run through them. I think that's weird that they didn't put collision on these. They could have. I get maybe it's for running past him. I don't know. Interesting. Oh, I think I found another light. Oh, are these? No, these are original lights. Okay, so that was that one. So there was a bounce light here. Oh, that's interesting. So they were doing a little bit of bounce lighting. Unfortunately, they ended up using their blue point lights. Here it was not for navigation, but more for like emulating bounce, which I respect. I'm gonna use goddamn lighting engine one. Okay. Yoink. Yoink. I like to use the outside arrows. You can actually use like the inside cube here to move it around too, so I would assume I'm also going to use the transform tool incorrectly, and that's okay. I've learned that. There's always lots of ways to do things. And it's hard to ever specify, like, this is the 100% correct way of doing it. It's like, best methods, you know? We're all learning. Oh, Yeah, this took the original colors. Let's go back to white. Okay, let's save that. Man, this area is loud 24/7. It's insane. Oh, let me make sure I have the top of this set to shadowcast. Zooming out is always so cool. Never gets old. So we got that. Didn't have those. I just like to be thorough, you know. Very like power wash simulator coded. It's very satisfying to go through and enable shadow casting because it just immediately makes it look better. And it's such a like neuron activation meme for me at this point that I kind of can't get enough of it. Honestly, it's an addiction. When I run out of things to do in Souls games, I'm gonna be apoplectic. There's a word I don't use often. Yeah, so here is another instance of where a bounce light is desperately needed. My controller, I was attacking someone, unfortunately. So we go into free cam mode, and we can actually just hit the create light button. And let me turn off the highlight selection so I don't accidentally click stuff. But you can see the light in real time. And what you're seeing here is the ideal method of game development in general is what you see is what you get. A WYSIWYG, if you will. And that's editing the game and making visual changes live. Instead of like loading or logging out, making changes, saving it, applying it, reloading the game. That's what I've been used to for so long. DS2 LightingEngine allows me to not have to do that. And so I am very thankful for that, as it's just so much nicer to work with. And so, going back to DS1 work is a little like, ugh, okay. But I get used to it. I have some WYSIWYG stuff for DS1 recently, so that's been nice. But here you can kind of just do nice little fill light, and I can come back and revisit those if I'm ever unhappy with them. But that's a good way of adding bounce lighting without going like too insane. Also, point lights are really cheap. Okay, big dog, sorry. I gotta go down. Yoink. Let me go down. Okay, let's go down. I've yet to upscale this elevator texture. I wasn't able to select it. I got to select the other part. It's like a bigger object. It's a whole thing. All right. I started work. Ooh, yeah, we got a little... Yeah, I have noticed this is a bug that will be squashed. Check out this point light. This is definitely another one of their like bluish green ones though. And it's just based on absolutely nothing. Which once again is not like an inherent problem. It's not, because obviously when you make a game, you're making a game. You could make it as realistic or unrealistic as you want. For me, it's just an aesthetic thing. I don't like the breakup of the blue point light out of nowhere. It just really. Here is a model issue. There's actually a giant seam in this model. And so dynamic lighting actually revealed that. I tried to fix it in Blender. Unfortunately, export to DS3 does not work currently. At least for me, it didn't. So, yeah, I'll have to revisit that. Yeah, let's turn that one off. Then we have two of them here that I turned to shadow casting, because of course I did. So here's where the Frost Man is, who ruins my life every time. Just some really good like wall rendering quality. Ugh. So don't look at this transition. It looks bad. So fully dynamic lighting has a bit of a problem in that what you just saw there is in the unmodded game as well, but it's much less noticeable because the shadows don't move in the unmodded game because it's baked lighting, right? And so they're just switching to the baked lighting, and so you don't notice any movement. It's just loading that light map, and you go, ah, great, okay, cool. But for dynamic shadows, well, they move. And also look at these light shafts. I just started work on Road of Sacrifices. Like at 2 a.m. last night, I was high as balls working on Road of Sacrifices. It was pretty sweet, honestly. highly, highly recommend modding while high. It's pretty great. Although sometimes you get lost of like what you're doing, and you're like, oh shit, what did I just click on? And you have to like do double work, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's the normal process. And then I got to get to Farron's Swamp, which I don't particularly like. You might be curious, what is my goal for this mod? Well, I am not aiming to be 100% accurate to DS3. Having said that, I would like to make it more vibrant, but in a way that still feels hopeless and bleak, right? So what you've seen today is like my working theory of like, okay, I can add more color to DS3, but it still can feel bleak, and it's intentionally supposed to feel bleak. So if possible, I would like to have my cake and eat it too, but the end result is something that is not authentic to the original experience 100%, right? You'll notice they also did a blue point light for Henri and Taurus, which is fine. You know, not my cup of tea, but you know, they did it. Like, it gives them a much more neutral appearance. I think what I could do. Ooh, okay. Accidentally clicked out of the game there for a second. I do think my indirect illumination here is actually a little bit too strong. This is usually a different draw param as versus the other area, at least from what I remember. But DS3 LightingEngine handles that slightly differently as to when it switches to a different look. Oh, I did have my warp a little bit high. Yeah, okay. Yeah. The warp is a really, really cool thing to dial in, the indirect illumination. Because, yeah, I think I need to set it closer to that. Yeah, okay, that looks better. Because we need to make sure they're actually, like, shadowed. Or feel shadowed. And then we can go back to this light and then re-enable it. But the nice thing is you don't have to replace it with an LE light, although I will actually. Screw that. I'm not making it shadow casting. Well, I could make it shadow casting actually. If it's just one light, I could make it look pretty cool actually. So let's do the range up. Okay. And then we'll get a little bit of shadows cast from it. Okay. So let's hit that. Go back to Object Editor. Then refresh capture, turn on highlight selection. Let's make sure we have everything set to cast a shadow. Because you'll see this one just got a shadow added around it. You'll love to see it. Yeah, look at this vine shadow. Oh my god. Am I getting too excited about shadowing? Yes. But that's also who I am. I can't fix myself. I fucking love this shit. And since they're actually static, I figured they would have been casting shadows by default. Turns out not. But since they don't move, I think I could. I'm not sure it'll let me shadow cast on the characters. I could do that manually in the map editor, I guess. But also kind of weird that they wouldn't be shadow casting by default. Interesting. So you get kind of this shadow off. Well, not them, but I'll be able to fix that, I'm sure. Here's the DS3 version of the Elite Knight set. It's very cool. It's unfortunately even less colorful than the DS1 version. DS2 actually had the most colorful version of all, which I love. Yeah, so here's an instance where I actually did start placing like some foliage out here. Like, or well, I haven't yet, but I will, is what I mean to say. Basically, just placing more trees, because you can see it's actually quite barren on the other side of that. That did not hold up as well in DS2. There are instances where it does look pretty rough like that. Oh my god, somebody, we got like moaning myrtle down there. Jeez, right. Ooh, yeah, we had some distant stuff loading in. I actually haven't walked down here yet. This is like one of the harder areas to render. I actually don't know how this is gonna look at all, but it looks fucking incredible. Those are fake light shafts again, which I might actually just get rid of. Dude, this looks insane. Oh my god. This is where the LOD was like brutal, and there'd be popping on trees and rocks like, oh my god. Hey. Oh no, I did rest. Okay, good. Yeah, you can see how much natural shadowing happens in this area. Dude, this looks nasty. But in a... Okay, these guys have always been my absolute weakness. Also, I'm talking and trying to play at the same time. That is easier doing with DS1. Also, because I use cheats on DS1, don't worry about it. Yeah, I really don't like... I see why they use these, but these are not... They don't work in other lighting instances like this. And the screen space reflections are cooking. There are planar reflections that are used here, so they're blending between the two, but it looks beautiful. Like, just look at the shadow coverage. I haven't even gone through this area and made sure everything is shadow casting. So I'm sure, like right here, you can see this foliage, for instance, is not shadow casting. But now it is, and it's stuff like that. Oh, dude, I just set all of the lily pads. This is gonna look so sick. So much shadow casting. This is my favorite shit of all time. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, basically, we're gonna have shadows coming off literally everything. It's gonna be insane. Just absolutely bonkers. And these screen space reflections look insane. And this is on the low quality setting, which is currently recommended until some issues get worked out. But anyway, this is DS3 Lighting Engine. And if you liked what you saw, let me know. See you in the next one.